Hello, my name is Linda, also known as Tortajala around the internet, and I love creative journaling and all things stationery. And today I am finally back to do a flip through of my Midori Hibino, which I've been using this year for just random fountain pen doodling. In this video, I'm actually going to flip through my June and July pages. And yes, I am making this video in November, so that probably tells you how behind I am. Basically, when summer vacation hit, I traveled internationally with my kids and we were gone for months, and this just got put on the back burner. And I didn't work on it even when I came back from vacation. We were gearing up for the start of school, and I had basically lost like the daily creative habit. So many days were skipped, weeks were skipped, and I was already behind. And so I am still in catch up mode. And I was distracted by other things, and maybe I was also craving a bit of variety and something different. So it took me a while to get back into this book. Maybe daily creativity could be many different things and not always just this one activity of doodling. So, definitely lots to think about for the upcoming year for me if I would embark on such a project again. But for now, I am committed to finishing this Midori Hibino. I do want it to be completely filled up. It is so satisfying to flip through it, and truly, I do enjoy it so much when I am using my fountain pens in this Midori Hibino. It has Tomoe River Sanzen paper, and maybe for like some rare inks or like some giant nib, it might bleed through, but generally it's just really good with fountain pens and inks, so it's sort of ideal. And I think that it's such a nice size. I really like it. I just think that it's handy and there are so many pages and it's nice and chunky for the whole year. So it's a very like satisfying kind of project, and I really look forward to, like finishing it up, like filling it all up and be able to like flip through and see all the doodles and have all the pages, fluffing up. So when I first finally like got started back up in this book, I definitely felt very rusty because I wasn't doing it for months, and then even coming back, like more time passed and I was staring at the blank page, and that can always be very intimidating. But even though I know that this is just for practice, it's just for fun, like there really isn't any real pressure, but somehow the anxiety is there anyways. So I ended up following like some online classes, like if you have Skillshare or just follow something on YouTube. I actually followed a class by Lisa Congdon on Creative Bug, and I was just following along to sort of practice. And so you can see in the first pages, like it's literally just practicing lines and X's and, mark making basically. And I think that in the class, she probably was using different materials and things. So I did end up using some watercolors as I was trying to explore like some mark making. And the paper did hold up to this type of media as well, so that is really nice. But I did want to go back to my fountain pens because sort of part of the point of doing this doodling in the Midori Hibino and why I got the Midori Hibino to begin with is because it works so well with fountain pens with the paper, and I wanted to use all of my fountain pens and inks. So just going through like day by day, I did go through the course and do all of like the you know, basically like line drawings and mark makings. It's almost like finger exercises in the beginning, like just drawing lines and things. And I did use like watercolors here and there, but it's mostly fountain pen and doing all the line art. Um, and at some point, I realized like I do want to use my fountain pens. I don't want to use like suddenly markers and paint and all that other kind of stuff. I just wanted to focus on my fountain pens. Um, and so I just sort of went with that. And it was a lot of like patterns and trying to coloring in blobs, like just a lot of experimentation. At some point, I did go back to like um, a day where I just did like free journaling kind of stuff because I was like just not feeling following like the class. But I did go back and try to like finish things up, where the class is basically just trying to make you to use like lines and patterns and things to like make shapes. So I did go through and try to do that. Sometimes it was very hard for me because I can't draw a straight line, and sometimes I find it just very tedious to get through like all the exercises. But I did want to finish it and just try to get through it. There are a variety of subject matter, and again, all focused on like lines, patterns, like creating form, that kind of thing. Um, and when I finally like finished like that sort of class that is sort of like prompted, right? I realized that I just wanted more freedom. So I basically went back to free journaling. So literally not following anything, and just having the blank slate to doodle whatever came to mind or redoodle like the same thing over and over again if that is what I wanted to do. And it's sort of like this balance between like, do you want to have prompts and guidance to like keep you motivated and actually doing the things? But how do you make it so that it's not so restrictive that you're not having fun anymore, or it's causing you, to like it's start becoming a chore, right? But if you have like total freedom, then that might be too much, and then you end up also not knowing what to draw. So it's sort of like bouncing back from those two extremes. And I know that, of course, I would like to learn new things, like increase my skill and that kind of stuff, but I still want it to always be like an enjoyable process. I think that my goals for this sort of creative project, it's not really a project, but just like I want to keep creative actively, like active creating all the time, like as much as possible. And so it means enjoying the process, but also always just like doing something. Even if it's a failed experiment one day, the next day you do something else, but to just like keep that going, um, rather than dropping off for months and then being like so rusty. But yeah, for these spreads, like basically, after that initial part of following a class, basically it's all free journaling. So whatever I felt like drawing, just very random. I'm sure you can see as I flip through that sometimes I repeat things, and yeah, I draw so many scallops. They're just like everywhere. It's something that I very much enjoy drawing, like scallops and swirls. Um, I think that they're just fun like lines to make, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, just off and on whenever I could. It wasn't daily because I had just fallen off that sort of habit, if you could say that. So I was already behind because of summertime. And so now I'm like even more behind because I'm not even doing it daily, as of now. Um, but I'm just letting myself be okay with that and just doing it whenever I can. And um, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I think it's the age old debate of like dated versus non dated. Because, when you have a date, it's sort of like an accountability thing and you might have to backfill, but you're going to like keep on track kind of thing. But if it's not dated, then you, it's a lot easier for you to like just forget about it, and then like you're not doing as much as you would be doing if it was dated, if that makes sense. So I'm realizing like for next year and beyond, I obviously don't need a dated book. Like a blank notebook would work. But at the same time, would need to come up with some other kind of accountability or motivational system because we all know what happens like when something isn't dated. Like it can just easily be shelved or forgotten as opposed to the urgency of having like dates. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah. So yeah, I just think that I've come to the realization that um, maybe I'm always so obsessed with like wanting this big book for like the whole year encapsulated, but maybe that just doesn't work. And um, like if I want to do a creative process, like today it's an A6 spread, but what if tomorrow I wanted to go big, like on an A4 size? If you commit to a specific, sketchbook for the whole year, you're really locking yourself into that format, right? Whereas I know a lot of artists, they do have like lots of sketchbooks going possibly, and I wonder if it's because you really could benefit from having like the different sizes depending on what you want to do, and that might keep it interesting and, keep the motivation going a little bit more. Um, so I thought maybe you could do things like changing your sketchbook every month, or like filling up a certain insert a month, because that would let you, like, it gives you some structure so you're not all over the place, but at the same time, you get to change every month. So if you don't like something, you could say, like, okay, you tried it, but it's not for you. Um, and yeah, keep the variety going. So those are some of my thoughts, like, as I've been, getting back into this Midori Hibino and doodling practice and thinking about like the future. But for now, I'm committed to at least first, let's just finish this first. Um, I want that super satisfying feeling of having finished a Midori Hibino with doodles, start to finish, like being able to flip through it and have that satisfaction. I definitely look forward to that feeling. So, my pages, they are very random. I am using fountain pens. I'm just picking like a different color pen each day and doodling whatever comes to mind. Sometimes there might be a theme, but it could just as easily change and be very random. And I think that because I'm just starting to get back into things, I want to make sure that it's always very like free and fun and I can do whatever I want. So there isn't that barrier. And of course, I would always like to create very, cute and cool looking doodles at the end of the day, but I constantly have to remind myself that, yeah, that would be nice, but that's not the point, right? Like, the point is just to put pen to paper and have fun and practice more than anything. It's about practice, and that is good enough for right now. Um, I often make the comparison to like exercise. Like, we all know it's good for us, but like somehow it's hard to do it anyway. Um, but we all know that after you exercise, you always feel good about it. So for this creative practice, like, I just want to have some constraints of like, yes, I know I'm going to use this notebook. I'm going to use my fountain pens, because the paper, it's just so well suited. I want to take advantage of that, but I have to remind myself to be flexible, and open to whatever like comes out in my doodles, good or bad, messy or not. Sometimes I'm like just scribbling, or drawing lines, so it's not really, you know, anything amazing or anything. But I need to let myself do that and accept that, so that it's not too controlled, and the expectations aren't so high that, then I just give up. So I know that a lot of people, they have like doodling practices where they're actually doodling like their daily life, or there's like some context, you know what I mean, to what they're drawing. But I guess I'm still in this stage of like complete randomness. Um, I don't know, maybe in the future, uh, it could be more directed or be, representational of the day or something like that. But right now, it's just completely unconnected. Not just to the date, because obviously I'm behind in this book, but like just in general, like there's no rhyme or reason to any of these pages. They're just from doodle to doodle. It could be anything. And um, yeah, I just want to keep it that way for now and finish up this book, more than anything, to have that sort of like under my belt. And I do know that it means that I probably don't need a dated book like for the future. It could just be any notebook. But yeah, I also realize I just don't need to make any decisions right now. So let's just focus on finishing up this Midori Hibino and see what happens from there, kind of thing. So thank you so much for watching my video and listening to me chit-chatting about my creative doodles. I really appreciate you being here. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more stationery videos, please subscribe. I wish you a very lovely day, and until next time, bye.